Hi, everybody. So sorry that I am late. I am Hillary of tarotbyhillary.com, and welcome to this week's episode of Tarot by Hillary Live, all about framing questions for the tarot. Again, my apologies that I'm late. I only meant to be about 2 minutes or so late, and unfortunately, I am like 5 minutes late for tonight's live. I hit traffic. I didn't leave my day job on time. I left a little bit late. So unfortunately, I'm a little bit late here. My apologies. So hello, everybody. I am starting up the broadcast right now. Before I've even cleared my throat, gotten water, gotten everything. So let me go ahead and do that. But I am here. But I just wanted to get the stream going first before I go and grab my water. So Dylan's here. Hi, yay. Welcome to the live broadcast. I'm so glad that you got here to experience this live instead of seeing the replay. Yay. Let me show you the funness. Yay. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Okay. Let me put this back up. Okay, so you all know who I am. Let me do my introduction quickly first. So I'm Hillary of tarotbyhillary.com. That is Hillary with one L. Otherwise, you're going to find somebody else. I am a professional tarot reader, demystifying the mystical and assuring you of your own intuition and confirming your own intuitive hits through the magic and the power of the tarot. Yeah. So Dylan is experiencing the coolness that is Be Live. BeLive.tv is what I use to have this beautiful background and my agenda coming up and my information popping up and different comments during the live broadcast coming up. Cool! Yay! So let me put this back up here. So this episode is all about framing questions for the tarot. I've given you a little bit of an agenda in the description box ahead of the live broadcast, which is now. If you do have questions about this topic, you can go ahead and put that in the chat, and I will be sure to answer them either as I'm teaching this topic or at the end of the workshop when we do our Q&A session. So hold that thought. I will be right back. Hold music. Let me see if I can pull up something. Nah, I don't need to. So give me 1 second. Let me grab some water and relieve my parched throat. Also, since I'm going to grab some water, you should go ahead and grab some water too. Hydration is really, really important when you're delving into the spiritual and the mystical arts, such as tarot, such as divination, I Ching, runes, palmistry, mediumship, however you read or work with your intuition, especially if you're doing it on a one-on-one session or like a group session. Hydration is so important. It is our lifeblood. We're made up of however many percent water in our bodies. So water is a wonderful conduit to make sure we're hydrated, number one, and two, so that we can really use our intuitive faculties to the best of our abilities. So hold that thought. Hydration break. Go get your water as well while I'm getting mine. Be right back. I'm going to go ahead and do a Dude. Okay. I am back. I I see we're already getting questions in the chat. That is fantastic, and we will tackle them at the end during the Q&A session if I don't already address it in the workshop itself. Drink your water. So Dylan's got a ton of questions already, which I really love, but she is also a fantastic medium and massage therapist. So if you see her in the chat and you need either a mediumship session or a massage session, reach out to her, okay? She's bringing me on the road so she can get home to her own computer. Awesome. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull up my notes. Thank you all for bearing with me because we're starting a little bit late tonight. I will go ahead and try and cover this topic in its entirety and also answer some questions at the end. And then we'll do a weekend forecast. Okay? Okay, that's the agenda for tonight. And Lizzie has just, Dylan, aka Lizzie, she has just put in her information in the chat. So where you can find her for either a mediumship session or a massage session. She is amazing at both. So, and I speak from personal experience. If you want to go ahead and look at past episodes, last week's episode was all about tarot and mediumship, and she is one of the recommended mediums that I recommended in last week's episode, along with George Corey and Jake Smidney. And I know I'm butchering your name, Jake, or your last name, and I'm sorry about that. But those are 3 mediums that I personally recommend that I can personally vouch for. So go ahead and check all of them out. See which one works for you or you personally vibe with if you would like a mediumship session. Okay. On to tonight's topic. Got to give me a second here, though. I feel like I'm flying by the seat of my pants tonight. It's been a really crazy week, hasn't it? And a really crazy day. But like energetically, the week's been so nuts that every other day I wasn't able to pull a tarot card of the day. And it's just like the day has completely gotten away from me. It's been nuts. So if you are also experiencing this kind of chaotic energy, or you're feeling really busy or really scattered or really like cuckoo bananas, know that you are not alone. I've also been experiencing that. A bunch of people that I know have also been experiencing this like chaotic energy. Also, quick astrological note before we get started. We are in the shadow period of Mercury in retrograde. Mercury goes retrograde on Halloween. So that's next Thursday, I believe. So Mercury retrograde is nothing to be afraid of. It happens 3 to 4 times a year. So this is a very common phenomenon. And we need to work with that energy rather than railing against that energy. Mercury rules communication, travel, and technology. And so those particular areas are affected when Mercury is in retrograde. So you want to think about RE, the RE prefix, and reviewing, refreshing, like going over things with a fine-tooth comb and like really double and triple checking pretty much everything regarding those areas. So in your communication, both written and verbal, you want to be very, very clear and double checking your work. In technology, the same thing. You want to back up your computers, back up your cell phones, back up all your files, just in case things crash or things get kaflooey. At least you have a backup. And the third area is in travel. So you want to double, triple check any travel plans that you may have, making sure that you take your car to the mechanic, making sure that you double and triple check any airline tickets or hotel bookings, anything like that. And this is really affecting me in particular, because I'm going to tell you at the end of it, but there isn't going to be a workshop next Friday because I will be traveling to St. Louis to teach at the first annual Card Slingers Conference. So I'll tell you more about that at the end of the workshop. So, and I would love to be able to see you in St. Louis. So let me know if you are attending, okay? Okay, but just so you know, we are in the shadow of Mercury in retrograde, so you want to start to do all of that work that I just said now so that you are prepared in the 3 weeks that Mercury retrograde occurs in, okay? All right, so pulling up my notes. And if you are watching this live, please go ahead and say your name and where you're watching from in the chat room so that I can say hi to you and give you a shout out, and just let me know who's viewing and where from, because I see that we have 1 to 2 people in the chat room right now viewing this live. Please know that we always have replays for all of these episodes, both on my Facebook business page and also on YouTube. So I will be posting, I usually post the video on YouTube on Saturday mornings. I have tried to do a premiere before, but it didn't exactly work. So I'm going to try to do that again tomorrow. So around, let's say 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So look out for that on my YouTube channel, and you should be able to find it when you go to my website, tarotbyhillary.com. There's little icons for all of my social media up on the top navigation. So if you want to watch the replay here, you can do that. Or if you want to watch the replay on YouTube, you can do that as well. So, and if you're watching on the replay, go ahead and say replay and say hi. Anyway, that was a lot of clerical stuff before we get started, but we're getting started now, okay? Okay. And please remember to go ahead and ask your questions as you think of them in the chat, and I will be happy to respond to you at the end if I haven't already covered your question. All right. So let me pull up the agenda for tonight. So we are talking about framing questions for the tarot. How do you frame questions for the tarot? What are the best types of questions to ask? How to ask timing questions about when something will or will not happen. And I'm also going to give you a list of sample questions to take with you to your next tarot appointment if you're not sure on what to ask the tarot. And then we're going to talk questions and answers about this particular topic. So let's go. So let me pull up the first item. First item, which types of questions are best for the tarot? And I will let you know that this workshop is based upon a article that I already posted on tarotbyhillary.com. So if you want a link to that article, go ahead and say link, and I will get that over to you. All right? Okay. So first, I want to start with a quote from Clarissa Pinkola Estes, who wrote, "Women Who Run with the Wolves, Myths and Stories of the Wild Woman Archetype," all about questions. Asking the proper question is the central action of transformation. In fairy tales, in analysis, and in individuation, the key question causes germination of consciousness. The properly shaped question always emanates from an essential curiosity about what stands behind. Questions are the keys that cause the secret doors of the psyche to swing open. So, if you ask the right questions of the tarot, miraculous things can happen. And your experience with the tarot will be that much more richer and deeper for asking the right questions. So there's a quote that says, roughly paraphrased, It's not the answers that you seek, but you asking the right questions to get the right answers or the best answer for you. How can you really get the best answers if you're not asking the right questions? You can't. So, which types of questions are best for the tarot? In my estimation, and again, this is from my own experience, and this is always coming from my personal perspective and opinion about working with the tarot. Less will and if and yes and no questions, and more what, how, why, and timing inclusive questions. So what do I mean by this? Tarot is not simply just a great divination tool for yes or no questions, though yes, there are different techniques you can use to ask a yes or no question, but I personally don't ask yes or no questions of the tarot because it feels very constrictive when you ask those questions. To me, using the tarot for a yes or no question is like using a screwdriver when you really need an electric drill. Yes, you will get the job done, but it's probably going to result in a sloppier and messier result instead of using the right tool for the job. So tarot tends to be very focused on motivation, why people do what they do when they do what they do. And if you don't have a question of the tarot, that's unlikely. Most of the time when people come to me for a tarot reading, they usually have a question in mind or a situation in mind that they want clarification on or answers to. But if they feel like they need a reading, but they don't really have a question to ask, the right type of question for that would be, what can tarot tell me about blank? Insert the topic of the situation there, or what do I most need to know right now? So I'm going to circle back to that, but those are great general questions if you don't know what to ask the tarot. So, but to me, will and yes or no, or if this or that will happen, tends to be very restrictive because you're getting a reading that gives a lot of information about motivation and underlying situations. But if the answer is a simple yes or no, then you're reading for the yes or no, and you're not reading the rest of the cards or what situations or what advice the tarot could be giving you about how to get to that yes that you're seeking. Hopefully this makes sense to everybody. If it's making sense to you right now, give me a hell yeah. Say yes, I understand, or no, Hillary, you need to explain that a little bit better. Any type of feedback on this before we move on to the next topic, because tarot is not like, if you read tarot, the future's not set in stone. Tarot is just pattern recognition, telling you, here's the current situation, and here is the most likely outcome or the most likely future scenario based on the cards, the situation that is coming up now. And if the future was set in stone and there was no way to change or prevent it or mitigated the circumstances, then no one would ever get a tarot reading, because what would be the point if you know about the future but you can't change it? You're constantly making choices every single day, small choices, little decisions, big decisions, and the choices that you're making decides the future that you are bringing to you. So Dylan says, hell yeah, yes. So I'm going to move on to the next topic, which is how to ask timing questions. Give me 1 second here, because I need to actually pull up the blog post, which has all of the sample questions. We're going to get to that, so I'm going to list them all out. Okay. But remember, if you want the blog post, go ahead and say link, and I will get that to you. So, which types of questions are best for the tarot? Not will, not when, not if, but how, why, what? These are the types of questions that tarot really, really likes to answer. And also keep this in mind when you're asking questions of the tarot, whether or not you're pulling cards for yourself or you're bringing them to your tarot reader. You can go ahead and ask the same question, but tarot gets really snarky if you continue to ask the same question within a small space of time, hoping for a different answer. So I know we have a couple of readers that are watching this right now that can vouch for this phenomenon, but go ahead and say, yes, tarot is a snarky bitch if you keep on asking the same question, hoping for a different answer, because tarot will come back to you with sometimes doom and gloom cards, not to say that the situation is going to bring you doom and gloom, but more as a sign to say, stop asking that question. So, and I'm guilty of this too. I mean, when I'm on the other side of the reading table, sometimes I forget or I want that answer that I'm looking for. And I keep asking and I keep saying, are you sure? And tarot smacks me down. So Dylan says, truly it does. I've been cussed out. I'm putting this up here. I've been cussed out by multiple decks. Yeah, me too. And depending on the deck you're reading with, some decks are kinder or gentler than other decks. And some of my decks are like, give it to me straight kind of decks where it's just like, oh, just the facts, ma'am. I'm going to tell you the truth, the unvarnished truth, and nothing but the truth. So depending on the tarot deck that you use, you could get a softer, kinder, gentler reading, or you can get bitch slapped by the tarot. So let me go back to my agenda here. So which types of questions are best for the tarot? How, why, and what? What do I most need to know about my love life? What do I most need to know about my relationship? What do I most need to know about my career or my job situation? These are great examples of what you can ask the tarot in order to get an empowered and impactful reading. So let's move on to how to ask timing questions. Now, I get asked about this a lot because everyone wants to know their future, right? Everyone wants to know when the promotion is coming, when the soulmate is coming. By the way, I don't personally believe in soulmates. I believe in kindred spirits. I believe that soulmates can be for a lifetime, but they also can be for a season or the season of the lesson you're supposed to learn from that person. I believe that soulmates can not necessarily mean a romantic relationship, but it could be a very strong friendship. Like, for example, my soulmate is in the chat right now. It's Dylan Dilly. Mwah, I love you. So when people are asking me that question of when is this going to happen for me? One, you have to bring your future towards you. You have to do the homework. You have to make the effort to go out there and bring it to you. For example, if people are asking me, when am I going to be in my next relationship, or when is Mr. Right coming versus right now, I usually ask, well, here's the situation that you can put yourself in order to find that person. But you can't expect this person to come and be the pizza delivery guy and you sitting on your couch binge watching Netflix. That's not how we put ourselves out there to be able to meet what the universe is bringing towards us. We have to do a little bit of the legwork too. And I believe I said this in a past episode where I quoted from Ever After, a Cinderella Story, Leonardo da Vinci, the character, saying, fate's got a lot to do. You've got to sometimes give her a helping hand. So that's my opinion about bringing stuff towards you. You have to be able to go out there and meet your fate halfway or 65% of the way, or do the work involved. So for timing questions, what I like to do, it's not a matter of when, because remember from the last subtopic we just talked about, which types of questions are best for the tarot, when questions are not great for the tarot. But what you can do is you can bake the timing into the question so that you can get an answer that's closest to the time frame that you might be looking for. So, for example, if you're asking about a promotion, when am I going to get a promotion? That's a pretty big time frame that you're looking at, instead of narrowing down the time frame by just asking it in the question. So remember, will questions, not that great, but you can bake it in. So how I would rephrase the questions, and I also do work with my clients to rephrase the questions that they might be bringing to me that's not great for the tarot into a good question for the tarot that we can then read on. So in that case, I would say about the promotion, what can I do to get the promotion in 6 months' time? Or less than 6 months' time? What can I do to get the promotion in 3 months' time? And then read on that question. So that makes sense to everybody. Please give me a hell yeah or hell no, or just any questions that you have so far. Kendra is saying hello. I'm saying hello back. Hi, Kendra. Welcome. So hope that makes sense to everyone. Bake the timing into the questions, and that way you're not stuck with a when question or will this happen. Ask about the timing in the question. What do I need to do to find a new relationship in 3 months' time? Who do I need to connect with in order to network more? These are the kinds of questions that the tarot really likes to answer. Dylan's saying, yup. So here now is a list of sample questions to take with you to your next appointment, whatever that is. If you're working with another tarot reader, God bless and Godspeed. If you vibe with someone else, or if you're looking to book a reading with me, here's a list of questions that you can take to your next appointment with me. I'm available for appointments, any type of appointments, at www.tarotbyhillary.com. I will go ahead and I will put up the website when we're done with the episode during the Q&A portion. But here's a list of sample questions you can take with you to your next appointment if you're unsure of and also work with your tarot reader. Most tarot readers do know this information, and they're very familiar with rephrasing a question to get the best reading for you out of the tarot. This is our job. We know how to work with the tarot in order to give you an empowering reading, and you should be walking away from your tarot reading feeling empowered and ready to take on the world. Okay? Okay. All right. Let me pull this up for you. And again, if you want the link to the blog post that this topic is based on, go ahead and say link in the chat and I will get that right over to you. All right. And the name of that article is Empower Your Readings, How to Frame Questions for the Tarot. So I've broken this down by list of categories, starting with the first word: what, why, who, and how questions. All right. Okay, let's see. I'm just double check that everything's still broadcasting. And please also let me know if the audio's not working, if the video's not working, so I can go ahead and adjust accordingly. Because I'm going to go ahead and just assume that everything's working correctly right now, so we can keep going on the topic. But just call it out if you're not hearing my audio or if you're not seeing the video, okay? So we're going to start with what questions. Number 1, what is this person's behavior of blank, insert irritant or problem or pet peeve, trying to teach me? That's a sample what question you can bring with you to your next tarot reading. What is it about blank that caused me to blank? What do I need to know about blank? What is my best course of action right now? What are some potential pitfalls of blank? So those are the recommendations of sample what questions that you can bring to your next tarot reading. Why questions. Why didn't I get hired for that job? It's a great question, because sometimes we're left thinking, what did I do wrong? Or we get into this negativity spiral where we think, oh, I'm not good enough for that. Or feeling those feelings of rejection causes us to get negative and start to pull negative situations into our life instead of thinking about what the lesson is. Or perhaps we might have dodged a bullet by not getting hired for that job because now we're available for the right kind of job to come to us. These are all potential situations that I've actually seen in the tarot cards. Just as recently as I think 2 weeks ago, I was reading for someone and they asked me why did I not get this job? And I'm just like, hey, listen, you would have been miserable in that job. That's the reason why you didn't get the job. It looked good on paper, but it wasn't a good fit for you. So just remember, sometimes the misses or the mistakes or that feeling of rejection or feeling like we didn't get something is putting us in place for us to get something even better. So why didn't I get hired for that job? Why is blank either a name of a situation or the name of the person? Why is blank upsetting me? Why are they upsetting me really? So that's a two-parter question, really gets into the nitty-gritty and the motivations of relationships and how you're relating to someone. It covers both the surface irritant, but then it gets deeper. Why are they bothering me really? This is a great why question. So this is the last why question that I have for you here. And just because I'm not saying it here, like these are sample questions that you can modify accordingly, or your tarot reader can modify accordingly for you. So just because I don't say it doesn't mean that this is that there are not more acceptable questions or good questions to ask the tarot. These are just sample questions. So this is a great one. Why am I feeling stuck? And a suggested follow-up question is, how do I get unstuck? Clients have come to me with that exact question, feeling like they need a tarot reading, but they don't quite know why, and they feel stuck, and they just want to get unstuck. And sometimes even the act of getting a tarot reading can sometimes grease the wheels and get you unstuck. Not all the time. Sometimes there is more homework required for you to get unstuck, but sometimes even the very act of getting a tarot reading provides you some clarification to get you unstuck from that situation. So only one example I have here of a who question, but it's a good one. Who can help me with blank? So who can help me with getting hired? Who can help me with networking? Who can help me with managing my finances? This is a great question, a great catch-all question that you can modify accordingly when you need help with something. So sometimes some situations you can't figure out on your own and you need help from somebody else. That's a great question to ask when you are in that situation. Who can help me with this? How questions. How can I better relate to my partner? Either my romantic partner, my business partner, how can I better relate to them? Or my mother, how can I better relate to my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my friends? How is blank my light mirror or dark mirror? So we're getting really into the nitty-gritty, soul-searching, shadow work kind of questions here. But I've actually been asked this question before. Do I practice or am I capable of their behavior in a similar or different situation? So for some of these questions, it's really a self-examination of, if you're being irritated by someone, is that a behavior that you're capable of projecting onto somebody else? Deep introspection is possible with the tarot cards, let me tell you. Another how question, and a really great question to ask if you are looking for a romantic partner. I'm looking for a new relationship. How will I know when I find the right person? So sometimes tarot will come up and a lot of court cards will come up in that situation to describe possibly the personality traits of the person that you're looking for that might be a right match for you, as opposed to past relationships that might not have worked out. Here are the characteristics of the person that might be a better match for you. And then, as I said before, I mentioned this before, when you know you need a tarot reading but are unsure of what to ask the tarot, here are 2 questions that you could ask the tarot if you're unsure of what question to ask. What do I most need to know right now? Or what situation needs my attention? And the tarot will usually present an option or a situation that most needs your attention in that particular point in time. So I hope that this list of sample questions, and I hope that this free workshop really helps you, helps serve you. Remember this as you're going into your next tarot appointment. And remember that the hallmark of a good tarot reading is to leave you empowered and in control of your destiny, because you are the only one that is truly in charge of your own destiny. So I hope everyone got all that information. Please let me know now if you have any questions, because we are moving into Q&A time. So let me go ahead and look in the chat and see what questions I can address right now that have already been asked. I know that Dylan was asking a bunch of them prior to us starting the workshop. So let me go ahead and scroll through and let me look at some of these pop-ups here. No, that is not for me. No, okay, cool. All right, so Dylan asks, when reading for yourself, what is the best way to decipher a situation you want a 3-card quick read for to get the best answer from the reading? So I'm not quite sure what it is you're asking here. So it's the difference, I guess, between reading for other people versus reading for yourself. Best way to decipher a situation, 3-card quick read to get the best answer from the reading. I'm going to answer the question that I think you're asking, but please go ahead and clarify your question if I'm not on it, okay? If my answer is like answering a different question that you were meaning to ask. So when reading for yourself, first of all, I'm going to recommend a book, Courtney Weber's book, Tarot for One, the Art of Reading for Yourself, I believe is the correct name of the book. She has a lot of really great exercises in it to separate yourself from like making sure that you're getting objective about your own situation, because it's, in my experience, it's so much easier to read for other people versus reading for ourselves, because it's easy to get objective about other people's lives, but when we start to talk about our own lives, it's hard for us to remain objective, you know? So I recommend that book. I know you have a copy of it, but I'm just answering for everybody. To decipher a situation, you want a 3-card quick read to get the best answer for the reading. In the reading itself, if you are getting major arcana cards in that 3-card reading, that's something to pay attention to. Read that card first. Go for those major arcana cards first. If you don't have any major arcana cards first, go for court cards. If you don't have court cards, look at the number of the minor arcana cards to see where you are to decipher the situation and where you are in the situation. If you're an ace, it's just beginning. If you've got a combination of like middle cards, you're in the middle of the situation. If you're getting 8, 9, 10, the situation's starting to wind down. So that's a way to kind of determine where you are in the situation. And from that, I think that makes it a little bit easier to then get to the theme of the situation. The theme of the situation would be any of the major arcana or the court cards that are coming up. So I would focus on those 3 things in order to give yourself a quick 3-card read in order to suss out or decipher a situation. So Dylan, let me know if that doesn't answer your question, but I think it does. Moving on to Dylan's other question. Okay. When you were reading for others and the querent or clients, so querent is a name for the client or the sitter or the person that you're reading for. The querent might be all over the place. The questions may come out less clear, less specific. How would you do this kind of framework? Okay, yeah, I've definitely experienced that problem before, where someone's just like, I want to ask about this. I want to ask about this. I want to, and just like, first of all, I usually sit them down in the reading space and I ask them to take either a glass of, like a sip of water, take a nice big breath in, hold it at the top, and let it out. And I try and do it again and again until they're in a more calm state, because my feeling is if you're reading a situation in a state of agitation, it's going to make for a really messy, muddled reading. So first of all, we try and get the client to calm down, or reschedule the reading until they're in a calmer state. Hey, everybody. Sorry about the Facebook Live cutting out tonight. I don't know what the hell happened. I'm really sorry that I wasn't able to. I think the entirety of the weekend forecast cut out. It's the shadow card, by the way. Delve into your shadow. Don't deny your shadow, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not going to do it all again. Quick addendum. So I was trying to do it at the end of the live, and of course it cut out before I could tell you guys this, but there will be no Tarot by Hillary live next week at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as usual, because I will be on my way to St. Louis for the Card Slingers Conference. It's the first annual Card Slingers Conference in St. Louis, Missouri. And I will be teaching using tarot for spell work there. I will be teaching amongst 3 other professional tarot readers and speakers, Melissa Sinova, Jamie Elford, and Amanda Bell. And it is at Pathways New Age Bookstore I believe I have an event, a Facebook event up on this page right here. So if you want to attend, please go ahead and purchase your ticket beforehand because space is limited. I think we are only able to have 30 slots available, and I think 5 of them sold really quickly. So I'm not sure how much more, how many more spaces are available. So you really want to go ahead and purchase your ticket now. I'm of course locked in. I've already got my airfare and everything else. So I really hope to see you guys in St. Louis next weekend. So there will be no official free workshop show next Friday, but I might do a couple of videos taking you live on the road with me and showing you Pathways books and showing you the Fortune Teller Bar and maybe the St. Louis Arch. I'm very excited about this trip, and I'm excited to be teaching the people of St. Louis using tarot for spell work. So no show next week, but we will resume again the Friday after that. But I will keep you posted. All right. Sorry for the snafu. Sorry for being a little bit late tonight, but I really hope you enjoyed tonight's episode about framing questions for the tarot. If you have any questions at all, please go ahead and direct message me in my business page, facebook.com/tarot by Hillary, pretty much same as my URL for my website. And I have to get going because I'm late for another phone call. All right. Have a great night. Mwah.